Hey, writers, and welcome back to the 1 minute writing tip. I hope that you are excited for corners that are turning and that you have had an excellent holiday season. I am so excited for today's episode. I'm interviewing another author guest. I'm talking to Storm Young. Storm is the best-selling and award-winning author of The Pen Pal, a West Virginia mystery, which is available on Amazon. And she's also got some other works. So, Storm, thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to sit down and just chit chat with you.
Awesome. So, will you just get us started by sharing about your own personal journey to becoming a published author?
So I always knew that I wanted to be an author. Whenever I was in middle school, I actually had a teacher, and she had to sit down and write a comic book. And I decided I was going to write a superhero with like the name Storm. And ever from there, I knew that I was going to continue writing. And I just needed to have that story. So I would always write little short stories. And then whenever I got in college, I had a dream one night about two girls, and they became pen pals, and one was from West Virginia and one was from Alaska. And I was like, this is my story. I called up my friends, my grandma, everyone. I was like, do you think this is a good story to publish? And everybody's like, yes, write it. And I wrote it, I believe, within 3 months. And then I had it out within, I believe it was 6 months total. And so that was my get go. That was the start of it for me. And from there, I've been still writing, and I hope to write for the rest of my life.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love that you just completely went for it and just, you just like, I'm going to do this thing. I just went with the idea that you had. And I love when that happens because I feel like when you write from that place of inspiration and just excitement and you are able to accomplish that kind of in that moment before, like for some people, they take so long that it like they kind of
Mhm.
forget that initial inspiration and it becomes more challenging. So I think that was probably in your favor as well, like just pursuing it right then and there. What do you think?
That's absolutely what was it for me, because I know that I've talked to people who have written forever, and they say if you slow down, then that's it. You're going to be taking forever. And I've had so much wonderful advice, and everybody says just get that first draft out there. And I believe that is like the main key. If you get that first draft, it can only improve from there. The first draft, I always believe, is going to be terrible. Everybody's, it doesn't matter. So I decided that's what I was going to do. And I think that really did help me.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's such an excellent point too, which people kind of get hung up with wanting the first draft to be perfect. Like, oh, it's not going right, or oh, it's not the way I envision it, or whatever. And then they forget it's like, no, you just have to get words on the page, and then you can go back and like change it and make it better, and whatever. So, talk to me a little bit more about the book itself, and what it's about, and just tell me about the book.
So my first book, which is The Pen Pal, it is based on a girl named Shiloh Ray, and she is a military wife. And of course, she's going through postpartum depression, and her husband just got deployed. So she's feeling all around loneliness, sad. She just doesn't know what to do. So she decides that she's going to get on Facebook. And while she's just scrolling through Facebook, she finds a group, and it's a pen pal group. And she decides that she's going to fill out an application, even though it says that they might not go through. Um, and so, whenever that happened, they decided, hey, we are going to, put her with a girl from New Martinsville, West Virginia. And they match up and become the best of friends. And then later on, she finds out, hey, she's actually a missing person. So she flies from Alaska to New Martinsville to find out what happened to her friend.
Wow, that sounds like such a an exciting adventure. And like there's so many different elements and facets to the story and the relationship that they build and how they communicate, like because if you ever had a pen pal, it's like long distance and there's so many different challenges and elements to that. So it sounds like such an intriguing story.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you have another book, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what about how does that one factored in? And was that like a sequel to the pen pal, or is it a separate work? Tell me about that one.
So they are both two different standalone novels. I am trying to write a whole series of West Virginia mysteries, which are all mysteries based in West Virginia, but you can pick up each individual one. So they're all standalone. So this book is called The Final Secret, a West Virginia mystery, and it is about a girl named Jess. And she's in New York City and she's trying to start a whole new life for herself. And she has this best friend named Hastings. And of course, they are spending the new year together. And so, right after the new year, she gets a phone call. And during this phone call, she finds out, hey, there's something wrong with my grandfather. There's something going on with his health. But she's had a lot of trauma from back home. So, she's not sure if she really wants to make that journey. But her best friend Hastings says, hey, he's the only family you have left. We're going to go make this trip. I'll go with you. So, they take some time off college and they decide that they're going to make a big road trip back to Tyler County, West Virginia. And while they're there, she starts to unravel a whole bunch of family secrets that might lead her to a hidden treasure or maybe something a little bit darker.
Wow. Okay. I love this whole mystery theme. It's so intriguing and like, ooh, it's so curiosity invoking, which is the whole point of a mystery, but it's
Yeah.
so exciting. And I love that you're doing a series of like standalone novels, but all kind of set in a similar setting.
Yeah.
I feel like that really creates kind of an ambiance for your readers that are gonna, follow you and want more of the stories and all of that. So as you've been writing and publishing, and you're thinking about doing it, for the rest of your life, and you've been on this journey, what would be your top pieces of advice for our listeners who are more in a struggling place? Like they have this idea, but they have slowed down, or they've kind of, been stuck, and they're just not sure how to actually make this happen.
First of all, I have to say, write your story. I know a lot of people have been saying recently, write to market. I don't believe in that at all. I believe in writing your own story because readers can really tell if it came from your heart or if you're just writing to market. So if you write the story that you truly want, I believe readers will follow you. And also, there is a whole community out there. I've realized from Book Talk or AuthorTube or WriterTube, there's all kinds of places where you can find advice. And even at Facebook groups, there are people who are there to support you. And I have found the biggest support from people that I don't even know, straight from the internet, better than a lot of family and friends. Even though I do have that support group, I found a very big support group online as well.
Mm. Yeah, I love that you said that because it's so true, and it's important to connect to the right community. I really do believe that having the right support is a critical factor in
Yes.
achieving your goals as an author. So, yep, I totally agree with what you said. So, what are you working on right now? Do you have any upcoming works, or something kind of, uh, in process right now?
I do actually. And I haven't really been talking about it much, but I'm excited to talk about it a little bit. So I had a dream, and it was about a guy, and he's very ill. And so I haven't decided what he has yet, if that makes sense. But he goes into a hospital, and here they tell him, hey, you only have a couple weeks left to live. And so he has to make the decision whether he's going to try to fight it or if he's going to walk away. And as he decides, hey, I've had enough, he's walking out of the hospital and he gets pulled aside by a nurse. And this nurse says, hey, what would you do to save your life? And so he goes, I'd do anything. And the guy says, I need you to say absolutely anything. And he says, I do absolutely anything. And so he says, okay, tonight you're going to go to bed. And so whenever he goes to bed, he wakes up as a whole other person. And so now he is a teenage girl and he has to understand and figure out who this girl is. Is she in danger? What's happening? And later on down the road, he finds out that she's actually a missing person and he has to get her home safely for him to get back into his own body.
Huh. Wow. Okay, that is different. I initially when you started to explain, I was like, okay, so like a dream traveler, but then you kind of went a whole different direction. And I was like, wow, okay, that's so intriguing. It's kind of like Freaky Friday, but the mystery version. Wow, that's so cool. So if someone's listening and they're thinking, wow, this sounds like such a fun adventure, and they're really intrigued or curious about your stories, how can they connect with you and check out your books and start, engaging and following with you?
So I'm on TikTok, which is Storm Young Author. I also have a book review account, which is Storm Book Reviews, and I have a Facebook account, which is Storm Young, author, and my books are all on Amazon.
Awesome. And are they digital or paperback? All of the formats? What can people expect?
So the Pen Pal, I have the audio version. I have it on Kindle Unlimited and a paperback. And the Final Secret, it is on Kindle Unlimited and a paperback as well.
Perfect. Yeah, because I know some people prefer to get it on their like app, but then some people just
Yeah,
you can't replace that feeling of holding a physical book and like smelling the book pages. So
that's always my favorite.
yes, the little nerdy reader in me comes out a little bit, and I'm like, "Is there the paperback available?" you know. Well, great. So for all my listeners, if you do want to read the Pen Pal, or you just enjoy mystery type stories in general, I definitely recommend checking out Storm and her work. So I will include her details in the description for you guys. Storm, thank you again so much for coming on and sharing about your book and your journey and joining me on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a great time, and I am so excited I was able to give just a little bit of help for anybody out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So for all my listeners, thank you also for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And of course, if you did, don't forget to leave a review, and I will see you on the next one.